Yeah, so I'll just share the screen. Yeah. So, like, we have had a fair bit of discussion on comprehending passages and answering questions based on them, and we have also practiced like quite a few of them. So I want to get into the technicalities of reading comprehension and how to maximize the marks you get in the amount of time that you have, taking the least amount of time. So when we discussed the reading comprehension skills, tricks, and strategies, I want you to have these two questions in mind and always like try to link everything that we are going to discuss in this session with these two questions. Okay. So the first question is what happens when we read, and the second question is how do we construct meaning. This is what our our discussion will circle back to at the end of the session. So first, there's this thing called the schema theory. Okay, so a text does not carry any meaning by itself. Like even this word schema, like schema does not, like the text itself does not have any meaning. The meaning, the information, the knowledge, emotion, experience, culture to the word or the text that is printed is brought by the reader. The reader understands what was intended when this text was written or printed or typed, whatever, then the reader can bring the information, the knowledge, the emotion, the experience, and the culture which was intended, which was the author's intention towards the printed word. You understand? So this is a very basic thing. Like a word in itself does not have a meaning. It is you are reading and then understanding what that word means by itself and in context of the sentence, the phrase, the paragraph, the page, and the story that you are reading, or the thesis that you're reading, topic you're reading, whatever. Okay, and skills in reading depend on efficient interaction between the linguistic knowledge, which is the knowledge of, which also entails like comprehension and knowledge of the world. Okay, so this is how you bring your own information, your own emotion experience towards a printed word. Now there are two categories of schemata. Okay, one is content schemata and the other is formal schemata. Content schemata is what we know about people, the world, culture, and the universe. Like all of us who are watching this know ki, New Delhi is the capital of India. Okay, all of us know this about the world, about India. And if you don't know this, then you should pay more attention in my general knowledge classes. But this is what we know. Another thing, like, so this will be some form of content schemata, and then there is formal schemata, which is what we know about the discourse structure. How is the discourse? What do you mean by discourse? By discourse you mean the dialogue, the interaction, the debate happening on a particular issue, a particular topic. So formal schemata is what we know, how we understand that structure of the discourse that is happening. Okay, so then another thing that you have to remember is that reading and thinking are interrelated, and if we work to think about what we are reading, we will remember a lot more. So this is not something that will help you in your exams. Of course, you won't have the time to do this. But when you're reading a new text, like in your free time, not when you're practicing your mock tests, always do that with your and one eye on the clock. But otherwise, when you read anything, a new text, a new material, or something, then you think aloud. You think aloud to yourself. You think about what you are reading. You try to you try to predict where the author is going by writing that particular passage, or where do you think or what context do you think it could have been brought about, and how you would use it, and what are the implications of what is being said. So if you do this, you will remember more and more things about, like, if you will start connecting things to each other. Like, everything is connected, everything is interrelated. If you go back, if you think about it long enough, you can form a connection between any two things. That because everything that we discuss in the world is within the sphere of what we as human beings know. Okay, so everything that you come across in part of your daily life can be connected to everything else. And when you start doing that, and when you learn how to do that, that is when you have mastered understanding whatever it is that you are reading, understanding whatever it is that is being said, what that you are watching. When you can relate a film that you are watching about, say, zombies, to something that happened in the 17th century in, say, France or somewhere, that is when you know that, yeah, you understand what you are watching, what you are interacting with. So that is how you start to make sense of the text. And by doing this, by keeping on doing, by just thinking about everything that you are reading, you will become so much better at this within no time. Like, within a couple of months, you will be so good at it, you will remember much more. And when you remember much more, you won't have to spend as much time actually reading the text. Okay. Now, there are two things. Okay, skimming and scanning. So, firstly, the common myths in reading are, there are two very common myths, and this is by a paper by J. Langan, published by McGraw-Hill in his book Reading and Study Skills. He says that there are two common myths about reading. Okay, the first myth is that comprehension should happen all at once, which is not true, because comprehension is usually a process and it is achieved gradually. Like, he uses empirical data to show this. And then the second myth is that we must read every word in the text. Now, if we have to read every word in the text, we will not have the time to study what we have read. And this is all the more true for a time passage based reading comprehension competitive exam, which is CLAT. And also for other exams, for non-CLAT exams, also for ILET, for your whatever other exams there are, uh, for your Maharashtra exams. So this is, you don't have the time to read every single word. Okay, so you have to develop two strategies. One is skimming, and the second is scanning. We have glanced over, like, very briefly. We have discussed what scanning basically is, what scanning means, and how to scan a passage by dividing it into paragraphs, and the one big idea or two big ideas of that paragraph. But skimming is something that we have not yet touched upon in our discussions in this English class. But so skimming basically means reading quickly to just get the general idea from a text, a book, an article, a paragraph, just flipping through it and trying, like, just reading quickly, okay, as quick as you can. And the quicker you can do this, the more, the better actual, in fact, you will score in your actual exam. And how can you do it better? How can you do it better? By making it a practice of skimming. Don't read every single word. When you read the newspaper, don't read every single word. It's not needed, not necessary. You will earn nothing doing that. You will just be wasting your time. Just read quickly, read quickly. Try to finish one page in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Try to read at that speed. Then you will know, like, slowly. At first you will have some difficulty. At first you will think, okay, I am not understanding, I'm not gauging what is being written in this news item. So you read it again and again. Don't spend like a lot of time in it. Again skim until you understand, and by then you will have practiced so much that it will become second nature to you. That is what my intention is. That is why what my agenda is with these lectures, with these classes, these practices that we have, and these theoretical stuff that we discuss. That I want you to do two things. I want you to be perfectly ready to do two things when you step into that examination hall. The first is skimming, which is reading quickly to get the general idea of the text. And the second is scanning, which is reading quickly to find information. So when you scan, when you have perfected scanning, then you know where to read, like where to specifically find the answer that you are looking for. And when you skim, you infer whatever information you need from what the portion that you have scanned to in the least amount of time, okay, as quick as you can. So this is basically my agenda, this is my objective, my motive. And if you go along with the tips I give you, the strategies I tell you, and the practice that I make you do, then for sure you will be skilled enough to read quickly, read accurately every single passage. And when you do that, this will not only this discussion is very important, because it will not only affect your performance in English, it will also affect your performance in every single subject that is asked in your exam. Because if you are reading quickly and you are reading accurately with pinpoint accuracy at the correct place without spending a lot of time into reading everything that is given in the passage, then you will automatically be saving more time to actually read the questions and answer them. Read the options, be sure of the answers, be sure of what you are answering. And if you take a lot of time, you'll have like 30 passages to read, bro. If you take up a lot of time, then you won't be able to answer as well as you can. So this is what we are trying to do. Now, there are five key skills. Okay, there are five key skills to recognize and use what are the important skills of a reading material. First is you have to recognize what are definitions and examples. Second, the enumerations. What is the third argument, first argument, fourth argument? What is the fifth? When some enumeration is made in a list, like in the we will discuss in tomorrow's GK class about the Human Development Index. And so if you get a passage about the Human Development Index and the ranking of India, so you have to pay attention to that. Then recognizing the headings and subheadings, like in our case, because the passages are very small, so recognizing the paragraphs, the main ideas, recognizing signal words, and recognizing main ideas. Now, what is recognizing definitions and examples? Okay, how do you recognize definitions and examples? Let's do this together. Locate the definitions and examples in this text. Okay. Much behavior is innate. Just stop me whenever, okay, I'll read out this text and just stop me whenever you think we are discussing, like the text mentions a definition or an example. Okay. So much behavior is innate. That is, animals are born with it. Their genes determine the animal's behavior.
Right.
Where
So, like the text says, animals are born with it. So,
Mhm.
by that, we can determine that innate means something that we are born with.
Yes. So innate is the definition. Correct. Their genes determine the animal's behavior. In other words, the behavior is a biological inheritance. Some innate behaviors are simple, such as a reflex or a flight or fight response. What happens if something suddenly passes in front of your eyes? You blink. That is, you quickly close your eyes and open your eyes. This is a reflex. You have no control over it. So, here, blinking of eyes is an example of reflex. So, the definition here, one of the first definition here is innate, because the text says that animals are born with much behavior. So, this is the definition portion. Now, here is the example. Some innate behaviors are simple, such as reflex. Reflex is an example. And fight or flight response is another name for reflex action. And this blinking of eyes is an example of reflex, which in itself is an example of innate animal behavior, which is the definition in this text. See, again, this is example. You quickly close your eyes and you open your eyes. Now, this here is a definition of reflex. You have no control over it. Look at this here. You have no control over it. This is the definition of reflex. Understood? Decoded this passage? What are the definitions and examples? So, this is the first key skill that you have to develop. Look, understanding what are the definitions and examples. Okay. Now, again, one type of learned behavior is habituation. This happens when an animal learns to feel comfortable to a new situation and doesn't pay attention to it anymore. For example, young horses are often afraid of noisy streets, but after a while, they learn to pay. One second, sorry. Yeah, for example, young horses are often. Yeah, so one type of. So, for example, yeah, where was I? But after a while, they learn to pay no attention to the normal sights and sounds of a city. So, guys, where do you think are the definitions and examples in this text?
So
I
the
think,
definition.
What is the
So the
definition?
second line is the definition.
yes, sir, this happens when an animal learns to feel comfortable to a new situation, doesn't pay attention to it anymore.
Right. Then,
An example is young horses are often said to be a noisy street, but a while they learn to pay.
okay, correct. Absolutely. Bang on. You guys have understood how to identify definitions and examples. Now, we'll do more exercises, don't worry. Now, the second skill is recognizing. One second. Yeah. Who is this calling me again and again? Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry guys. Uh, so the second skill is recognizing enumerations. Okay, what are enumerations? Enumerations are list of items that may actually be numbered in the text. They are usually signaled by words such as first of all, second, moreover, next, also, finally, similar words. Typical phrases which are used to introduce enumerations are there are three reasons why, two causes, five arrived. So basically, enumerations are the keys to important ideas. Enumerations basically list out how many key ideas there are in the text. So, what does this mean? Okay, here. Researchers have found two differences among parents in the ways they relate to their children, their expectations, and their responsiveness. Some set high expectations and insist that they are met. Others expect little of their children and rarely try to influence them. Responsive parents, for example, accept their children and frequently interact with them. Unresponsive parents tend to be rejecting, negative, or indifferent. So, where are the enumerations in this text?
So in the first line, researchers have found two differences among the parents.
So, what are the enumerations? Expectations and responsiveness,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Enumerations means list of items. List of items. So, what is the list of items here in this third
Expectations,
line?
So we
expectations,
have some.
Expectations, huh?
Yes, sir.
High expectations and low
Uh,
expectations, little
expectation.
expectations. See, no, here, two differences. Very simple, guys, very simple. We were right at the first time only. Don't try to overthink. Don't try to overthink. English is very easy. Don't try to overthink. Now, this text. This is a more hefty text. So, Erickson's work.
Here's a matching YouTube result.
Erickson's work was popular and influential in the 1960s and 70s, but since then, developmental theorists have taken issue with it on at least 3 points. First, some researchers argue that Erikson didn't adequately address the role of culture in personal and social development. For instance, some cultures discourage autonomy and initiative in their children, perhaps as a way of protecting them from dangers in their environment. Second, critics point out that some adolescents, and especially girls, establish a sense of intimacy with, or even before, a focus on personal identity. This contrasts with Erickson's description of intimacy following the development of identity. Third, as you'll see in our next discussion on identity development in the next section, many people don't achieve a sense of identity as early as Erickson suggested. Okay, where are the enumerations here? Ah,
So, line number 3.
okay,
First, some researchers argue that Erickson didn't adequately address the role of culture in personal and social development.
okay. Then,
And then again, second is critics point out that some adolescents and especially girls establish a sense of intimacy with or even before a focus on personal identity.
correct.
And third, it's is the last third line. As you'll see in our discussion of identity development in the next section, we may many people don't achieve a sense of identity as early as Erickson suggested.
Absolutely correct. Wonderful. Wonderful. Now the third skill. What was the first skill? Does anyone remember?
Definition and meanings,
Definitions and examples.
Definitions and
an example.
examples. Yes, definitions and examples. The second one was?
Enumeration.
enumerations. The third is headings and
Heading and subheading.
so headings and subheadings are, this is more of a chapter thing when you read the other chapters, study chapters, but and this does not apply to passages, but it's important nonetheless. So headings and subheadings, what are they? They are visual aids that give us an idea, a quick idea of how the chapter is organized. And there are two methods for using headings to locate key ideas. This will help you even in your, when you read your college school textbooks, this will help you. Your school textbooks or your law school textbooks, when you read them, when you read the headings, you change them into basic questions like what, why, when, how, who, where, and then try to see how the subheadings relate to the main headings. You understand? You change the headings into questions and then try to figure out how the subheadings relate, how they are arranged as the main headings, and how the headings themselves in the form of the questions that you have come up with in itself is arranged in the chapter. So then you get an understanding of why. So suppose you are reading, you are studying IPC, okay? So there are two elements, like there are basically two elements that have to be proven, right? Actus reus and mens rea. So when, suppose you're reading mens rea, and the different headings that you have, you turn them into questions, and then the different subheadings inside those headings will be the answer to those questions. And then you also see that how all these questions put together make up the entire sum of the basic concept that is mens rea, right? Then you will also, when you are asked in the exam what is mens rea, and or even the specifics like how do you determine it, and how, whether it is, whether mens rea existed. Mens rea means criminal intention, okay? For those of you who don't know, you'll read it in law school, it's chill. And also your basic legal aptitude. So basically when you'll know what to write when you answer a question, when you are asked a question. Okay, so this is very helpful trick, very helpful tip. Change the headings into questions and then see how the subheadings relate to the main headings. Now, what is the fourth skill? Because this is not very, this, the third skill was not very relevant to our English portion of CLAT. We are not going to spend a lot of time in it. Now, what is the fourth skill? The fourth skill is recognizing signal words. Now, what are signal words? Signal words are words that help readers follow the direction of a writer's thought. They're like signposts on the road that guide the traveler. So, common signal words show emphasis, addition, comparison, or contrast, illustration, cause and effect. Now, emphasis words. Okay, what are emphasis words? The writer tells us that a particular detail or idea is important. So these words, these emphasis words will be your red flags. The red flags because they indicate towards an important detail, like the idea, an idea or a detail that the writer thinks is important. And if the writer thinks it's important, then it is important for you. Doesn't matter what you think, whether you think it's not important. So some typical emphasis words are important to note, especially valuable, the most, above all, key feature, a significant factor, a major event, especially relevant, a vital force, a central issue. So these are some examples of what are emphasis words. Now, look at this text. For example, although the resources of our world are limited, the wants of people are not. Indeed, one of the most important assumptions of economics is that human wants can never be satisfied. No matter how much we have, we seem to want more. As people's income increase, so does their, as people's incomes increase, so does their desire for more and better goods. Now here, focus on this highlighted portion of the text. One of the most important assumptions of economics is that, so when you are asked a question about what is an important assumption of economics as per the writer, and you have four options, then if you know how to, like, this is your red flag, like I just said, emphasis words are your red flags. So if you red flag them, like if you flag it in your mind, then when you get the question what is an important assumption of economics, for a very important, in fact, what is a very important assumption of economics as per the writer, then the answer, you won't even have to come back to the passage again. You see my point? If you understand that this is an emphasis word, and this is a word where that the writer has used to indicate or point towards a detail or a fact which the writer thinks is very important or a main idea, then you have to make note of it in your head, so that if a question is asked based on that, then you don't have to come back to the passage to read it. And that is where you will be saving more time than 90% of the people who will go back to the passage to confirm what they already know in the inside their subconscious minds, that the answer is total human wants can never be satisfied. Understand? You see my point? You see how important this is? Trying to develop these skills. And these skills you can only develop. Like I can only tell you, I can only guide you in the right direction. But these are things that you can do only by yourself. No one else can do it for you. No one else. Nobody. Nobody in this world. This will only happen. These skills you will only develop when you practice, when you consciously practice them to the point that they become second nature. Whenever you read something, try to use these skills. Whenever you read something, up until the day of CLAT, whenever you read something, try to find, acha, this is the definition, this is the example, this is the definition, this is the example. Okay, I understand. You'll see how easy it is to find these things. This is the enumeration, this is the enumeration. Okay, this is the enumeration. Good. Now, where are the emphasis words? Acha, this is an emphasis word. This is an emphasis word. This is an emphasis word. Okay. What do the emphasis words signal? They signal that a fact or an idea is very important. Okay. Now, find the emphasis word or words in this text. To be happy, adolescents must be realistic about the achievements they are capable of, about the social acceptance that they can expect to receive, and about the kind and the amount of affection they will receive. Of the three, social acceptance is the most crucial. Well accepted adolescents will automatically receive affection from those who accept them, and their achievements will win approval, if not acclaim.
So to be happy is the emphasis.
Okay, 1 second. Let's go back and see what are the examples of emphasis words. Important to note, especially valuable, the most, above all, key feature, significant factor, major event, especially relevant, vital force, central issue. So the author is flagging here. Where do you see such a phrase used? Okay, in this text. What were you saying, Shantanu? I'm so sorry.
I thought it was to be happy.
Truly happy, truly happy.
To be
It's
happy,
in,
the first
in first
person.
line.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Then the fifth line, the most crucial, where expect.
Yes, the most crucial. This is the emphasis word here. This is the emphasis word here. Correct. The most crucial. See, the author is flagging that this is the most crucial, that this social acceptance is the most important. So when you know that this is an emphasis word, like after this, if you see the most anywhere, then you will know that the author is emphasizing on something. For the example, in this, if like you had, see, there are three so when the suppose if there's a question of what is most important for adolescents happiness, and then the options are being realistic about their achievements, receiving social acceptance, and uh, nature of the affection received. Then if you have understood that the passage has been talking about social acceptance being the most crucial, then you won't have to come back again and confirm it. This is what it comes down to. Basic, like taking 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds off of one passage. 10 seconds of one passage means 300 seconds of 30 passages. That means 5 minutes extra you get from the next person, the person sitting next to you. And you don't have like a whole number of sheets. You have to become ruthless. You have to make this second habit. You have to make this second habit, like identifying things, like little things, like emphasis words, so that you don't have to ever read a passage for the second time. This is our objective. When you appear for your mock exams, mock tests, if you have to go back to the passage to answer the question, especially in English, then we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. Both you, because you, both me, because I have to guide you about how to extract everything that the passage is going, like that the paper is going to ask of you from one reading. And it will also be hard for you because you in fact have to go back home, like, and go back after this class and practice whatever guidance I give. Understood? This is what you have to do. There's no need. You have to save a lot of time, guys. Time is of the essence. This exam has become totally about time management, nothing else. Reading quickly, understanding quickly, time management. Whoever does that, whichever student does that, will qualify, and everyone else will want to be like them, but they won't because they have not practiced these small things. So when you read the newspaper or when you read your textbook, try to find these things, try to find these ideas, because everything that you are reading, even if you are reading, things that are written behind trucks, everything that you are reading can help you in your exam if you use it to develop these 5 basic skills. Now, tell me, I'll read out the text and then you guys tell me where is the emphasis word in this text. So as you see in table 3.1, an authoritative parenting style, one that combines high expectations and high levels of responsiveness, is the most effective for promoting healthy personal development and maintaining balance, structure, and harmony in their lives. Authoritative parenting provides high-quality support for authoritative parents also encourage their children to develop values and goals that
You're
guide
not
them.
audible.
I'm not audible.
No, like you're stuttering because of the Wi-Fi connection, I guess.
Am I audible now?
You are audible, but like your voice is
Hello.
lagging.
Oh, I don't know then. Like network issues, bro. There's nothing I can do about it. Uh, but it's functional, now. Like you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, now we can. Now it's fine.
Perfect. Glad we sorted that out. So, children need challenge, structure, and support in their lives, and authoritative parents provide them. While providing support, authoritative parents also encourage their children to develop values and goals that guide their actions. Where is the emphasis here? Where is the emphasis words, the signal words in this text?
The most effective
Parenting style.
third
The
line.
most effective.
Why do you think it was parenting style? Parenting style, what, Varishta, how is parenting style putting an emphasis on an idea?
So, because I thought that in the whole passage it was talking about how, I mean, authoritative parents encourage their children and about values and goals. So that's why I said.
Right. You are right. But that is not okay. I don't want you to like try to decipher what the entire passage is saying. I just want you, like, we are doing very basic. These are very basic technical skills, small things. So I want you to focus on these small things, right? So when I say finding emphasis words, I mean words that are red flags, like these words, important to note. Like I listed them out, okay?
Yes, sir.
So things like these. So today it's all about decoding passages, decoding meaning, so that then we can put it back together when we practice. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Varishta. So don't focus on the main idea of the passage or whatever. Don't focus on that right now. Right now, just focus on very small things. The pinpointed. Okay, moving on. I hope you have understood why the most effective is the signal word that I was looking for here in this passage. Or if you have any doubts, then I can discuss them.
No, sir, no doubts.
I have a
Okay,
doubt.
great, perfect. Moving on.
Yeah. So I have a doubt.
Yes, Shantanu.
So what's the difference between enumeration and headings?
Enumeration and headings. So headings are you understand what headings are, na? Headings are in a chapter, like in a chapter you have, say, there's a chapter on, uh, like let's take English grammar as an example. There's a chapter on the parts of speech. And for those of you who don't know, there are 8 parts of speech: nouns, pronouns, adjectives, and so on. So if there's a chapter called the parts of speech, then it will be divided into 8 headings. What will those 8 headings be? Those 8 headings will be nouns, pronouns, adjectives, and so on and so forth. Prepositions, conjunctions, everything. So what will the subheadings will be? The subheadings will be simple noun, compound noun, countable nouns, uncountable nouns, proper noun, things like these. Okay, so these are the headings. Now, coming to, suppose within the heading nouns, it is written that nouns are of two kinds: simple and compound. That is an enumeration. That is an enumeration. But if it is then listed in a just subheading, as a subheading, then those enumerations become subheadings. And similarly, if those if the headings are listed in a chapter, then those headings are also enumerated. Do you understand, or have I confused you even more?
No, I got it, sir.
Okay, okay, perfect. So moving on, if anyone else has any questions, otherwise let's just move on. Okay, great. So now coming to the next kind of signal words, which are the addition words. So these words tell us that the writer's thought is going to continue in the direction it is taking, or the writer is going to add more points of details of the same kind. And the important thing, linking back to our second skill, enumerations, addition words are also used to signal towards enumerations. Some typical addition words are also, first of all, last of all, for one thing, likewise, moreover, finally, first thing, next, third reason, another in addition, so on and so forth. Now let's do some practice. As adolescents struggle with their identities, two processes occur. The first, identity formation, involves the creation of commitments based on conviction or belief. This was illustrated in Taylor's comment, "It feels really good to work with people and help them." The second process, evaluation, occurs when they consider alternative identities and weigh the pros and cons of each. For example, you may have asked yourself whether or not you want to be a teacher or perhaps work instead in the business world. These deliberations are your attempt to evaluate different options. Where are the addition word here? Addition words.
So the
So
first and the second. The first identity formation involves the
Hmm.
creation, and second process evolution occurs.
Right, right. And John, you were saying?
I was saying the same thing.
Same thing. Correct, correct. Both of you are correct. 100% correct. I think others also got this. If you didn't get this, then just raise your hand or whatever, and we can discuss. Yeah, I see no raised hands, so I'll assume that you have all understood this. Moving on. This passage. There are several criticisms towards Kohlberg's theory. For one thing, it appears to be focus. It appears to focus strongly on Western thinking. Post-conventional reasoning isn't seen in all cultures. Moral reasoning also depends on context. For example, people are more likely to believe that breaking a traffic law is immoral if it can cause someone harm. Finally, Kohlberg's work has been criticized for focusing on moral reasoning instead of moral behavior. People may reason at one stage and behave at another, influenced by context and personal history. For example, an adolescent trying to decide whether to drink alcohol when out with friends will be influenced by family and cultural values as well as peer pressure. Kohlberg's work ignores these factors. So, where are the addition words here?
For one
So,
thing,
For one thing, correct.
and
and
finally,
Finally, correct. And anything else? Any other addition words? No? Okay. Also, guys, how can you go from straight from for one thing to third? There has to be second in between, na? How can you go from one to finally? There has to be something in between. No one can go from one to finally directly. From one you can go to secondly or next. Or moreover, you can't go to finally. So So also, you missed also here. Moral reasoning also depends on context. Also is also an addition word. Any questions, any doubts? I also? Okay. Moving on. Comparison and contrast words. So comparison words tell us the similarity between two subjects or states. Words, these words are typically words like, just as, in the same way, similarly, likewise, in like manner, these words that are listed here. Contrast words are the opposite of comparison words in that they tell us a difference between two subjects or statements. So some of them are but, yet, however, in contrast, on the contrary, different. Get my point. Comparison words tell us the similarity between two things, two subjects or statements. Contrast words tell us the difference between them. Now, in this text, sleep has always been a fascinating topic. We spend about 1/3 of our adult life sleeping. Most animals sleep in a similar fashion. They collapse and relax their muscles. In contrast, birds and horses sleep upright with their anti-gravity muscles at work. What are the comparison and contrast words here? Come on, guys, half an hour is left. Let's quickly get this over with.
So in a similar fashion,
Similar fashion and
in contrast, birds and horses.
in contrast, right? Absolutely correct. Bang on. Next. The terms self-concept and self-esteem are often used interchangeably, but they're actually quite different. In contrast with self-concept, which is cognitive, self-esteem or self-worth is an emotional reaction to or an evaluation of the self. People who have high self-esteem believe that they are inherently worthy people and feel good about themselves. Now, where are the comparison words, if any? And where are the contrast words, if any? Or whether there are no comparison and contrast words in this passage?
Often used interchangeably. That has to be the comparison.
Okay. And
in contrast with, that should be the contrast word.
okay. And but also you are saying, or just
No,
in
no, sir.
contrast?
Just in contrast with.
Okay, okay. So for this text, there are no comparison word, only contrast words. But is also a contrast word. Now, but is showing that these concepts are different. But is
Interchangeably shows comparison.
often used interchangeably. How does it show comparison? It does not show that they are compared. No? It just says that they are used interchangeably. The author here is not comparing them. The author is contrasting them. The author is saying the premise of the passage is that these terms are used interchangeably, but they are different. When the but comes here, then there is contrast between these two concepts, self-concept and self-esteem. You understand why
So, but
often used
if but has,
interchangeably?
so if but has to contrast, then but should also have, they're actually kind of different. So should have four sentence, right? Only but does not really contrast the two.
No, this is the I'm just asking for the addition word. I'm just asking for the addition word or addition words. So addition words are
But
the signal
use
words. They
but.
signal to the idea, right? So what are we discussing? We are discussing signal words. Signal words point towards some idea. point towards some, something, some idea or some information that the author is trying to bring forth. And one kind of signal
Sure.
words are, yes, John,
Yes, I said I
you were
understood.
saying, right? Okay, now what about this text? Kohlberg used responses to moral dilemmas such as this one as a basis of his research, which he later developed into his theory of moral development. Like Piaget, he concluded that learning exists stages and development occurs when people's reasoning advances to a higher state. Where are the comparison and contrast words, and whether there are no comparison and or contrast words?
So like
The like,
the
Like, correct.
and such as this one.
Correct, such as. And are there any contrast words? If yes, then where? If no, then no. Okay. Are there any contrast? Someone is mumbling. Who is mumbling?
No,
Someone
sir.
mumbled something. No.
Yes, sir.
Right. No. Oh, sorry, I missed such as. Such as should also have been there. Such as is also a comparison word. Correct. 100% correct. There were no contrast words in this passage. Now, illustration words. There are also a kind of signal words that tell us that an example or illustration is about to be given to clarify an idea. And they are typically used in textbooks that present a number of definitions and examples of those definitions. Illustrations are also, like in our bare acts, in our legal bare acts, illustrations are used to explain provisions, right? For provisions that are thought to be confusing or that are thought to create some sort of a doubt, illustrations are given after the provision, the section, rule, regulation, whatever. It is given, illustration is given after the, or illustrations are given after the provision to clarify what is being said in that provision. Similarly, this is done in passages also, and they signal to examples. For example, for instance, to illustrate, such as, specifically. Such as is also comparison along with illustration, depending on the situation. Now, the mesosystem consists of the interactions between elements of the microsystem, and healthy development depends on how effectively the elements work together. For example, research suggests that effective teachers involve parents in their children's education, creating links between two important elements in the microsystem. In a similar way, effective schools open their doors to the community to create a web of support for the developing child. Very simple. Where is the illustration word?
In a similar way.
In a similar way. Okay. And
So for example,
in a similar way is not, in a similar way is comparison. Comparing. For example, is illustrating. In a similar way is not illustrating. It's just drawing parallel between two ideas. The two ideas that effective teachers involve parents in the children's education, and the second idea that effective schools open their doors to the community. So this is not giving an example. The second, if those schools being community driven to help children's development is not an example of the first idea, which is that teachers involve parents more, like good teachers involve parents more in their children's education. Now, this second text. Moral issues are also embedded in the school curriculum. History is not a mere chronology of events. It is also a study of people's responses to moral issues such as poverty, human suffering, peace, justice, and whether decisions to go to war are justified. Where are the example words here? Illustrative words, sorry.
Such as?
Such as. Correct. Absolutely correct. Oh. Now, ethical issues are also found in literature written for young children. For instance, in E.B. White's children's classic, Charlotte's Web, moral issues are involved when Charlotte the spider devises an ingenious plan. What does ingenious mean, guys?
Clever.
Yeah, ingenious means clever. Ingenious plan to save Wilbur the pig from slaughter. And teachers commonly choose books such as The Yearling, The Scarlet Letter, and A Tale of Two Cities, not only because they're good literature, but also because they examine moral issues. Where are the illustration words here?
For instance,
For instance, there's one more.
such as.
Such as.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. 100%. Words that the author is going to describe results and effects. These words are because, therefore, thus, since, as a result, consequently, reason, effect, so that, if then, cause, result in. Now, Steve, a high school senior, works at a night job to help support his mother, a single parent of 3. Steve is conscientious. What does conscientious mean?
Has a conscience. I mean, listens to his conscience.
Yes, someone who has a conscience. Right, someone who has a conscience. And what does conscience mean, John?
The sound from our minds, something like that. When you do something bad.
Morally upright. Yeah, something bad, they feel bad, and they understand it. Like someone who understands that their actions have consequences, basically. So Steve is conscientious and works hard in his classes, but he doesn't have enough time to study. Because of his night work, and because he isn't fond of history, he is barely passing. If he fails the final exam, he will fail the course and won't graduate. Where are the cause and effect words here?
So because.
Because. But. Okay.
If.
Why but?
So because it says that
this says that something is the cause of an effect. How does it say that? It just says that he would. It doesn't say that he doesn't have enough time to study because he's doing this. But here says that Steve is conscientious and works hard, and hardworking. but he does not have enough time. It doesn't say that he does not have enough time because he is conscientious and hardworking, or he is
So if
conscientious and
but was
hardworking
part of
because
the
he does
first,
not have enough time. If that was the but is comparative.
so if but
But
was
will
part
be
of the first sentence,
comparative.
would it be cause and effect?
If but was not part of the sentence.
If but was part of the first sentence,
If
like
Bert,
Steve
that's what you're
works
saying.
at night.
Na? If Bert was part of the search, Steve, a high school senior, works at a night job, where would you put Bert?
At the end, but he doesn't have enough time to study.
So you're saying Steve, a high school senior, works at a night job to help support his mother, a single parent of 3, but he doesn't have enough time to study.
Would it be cause and effect then?
No, how will it be cause and effect then? Even
Because he
then, it
actually
is
works.
not saying that. It is not saying that. So, but then it will be no. It will make no sense, na? Because this is the first sentence, and the first sentence, Steve, a high school senior. Wait, this did I get it right? This is what you are trying to change the sentence to, na? Steve, a high school senior, works at a night job to help support his mother, a single parent of 3, but he doesn't have enough time to study.
Then we
Is
can
this what you are
infer
trying to
that.
say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So then we can infer that. What
We
can
can
we
infer
infer
that
then?
because he works at night, he doesn't have enough time to study.
So but then you would have to use the word because there, na? You would have to use a different word to like
But
most effectively, like you can of course you can do that. Like this will, like what you are saying is right, but what you are suggesting will be correct, but it will also be a very poorly written sentence.
yes, sir.
So I don't know why we are like I understand, like it can become. Yeah, I am back. uh, yeah, in that case, but would be cause and effect, but right now here it isn't, because is a cause and effect word
And
here.
if
And then
I mean, how about
another I'm so sorry.
if
Yeah, if and then if is also a cause and effect word, because if. Now if he cheats, he will pass the test, but cheating is morally wrong. On the other hand, if he doesn't cheat, he will likely fail the course and not graduate. Hmm?
If
What
so
about this one?
yes,
if is which one?
If again, nah,
Yeah.
correct, absolutely correct. Another few more examples of now. Acha, every single phrase or word, tell me what kind of a signal word or signal words they are. Okay. For example, what is for example?
illustration.
Illustration.
Illustration. Illustration. In addition,
Emphasis.
emphasis. Are you sure?
Addition statement is there something like that?
Addition word. Additional word. It's an addition word. Because it is adding to a list, right? Now, as a result, what kind of a signal word?
Cause and effect.
Cause effect.
Cause effect.
Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Alike. Alike?
Similar.
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 Yeah, comparison. Right, correct. Therefore,
Cause and
Cause and
effect.
effect.
cause and effect. For instance,
Illustration.
illustration, correct. Especially valuable. Now, Ashank, your favorite
Position.
comes in here. Yeah. What? Sorry? Emphasis, emphasis. Especially valuable
Understand.
emphasis.
Interest.
Yeah, emphasis. Ashank has been focusing on emphasis for a long time now. Okay. Now, similarly,
Comparison.
Yes.
comparison. Moreover,
Addition statement.
addition, addition. Yes. Just as,
Illustration.
Comparison.
comparison. Just as comparison. Because you are drawing similarity between two of them. Two things. Just as. Now, such as. Such as.
Illustration.
Illustration. Right. Differ,
Contrast.
contrast.
Comparison.
Most important,
Emphasis.
most important, emphasis. Consequently,
Cause and effect.
cause and effect. However,
Contrast. No, addition.
contrast. Also,
However,
sorry,
also be
someone
used
said
as,
something.
yeah, so however can also be used as addition, right?
How will however be used as an addition? However is always used as a contrast. Tell me of an example where you can use it as addition.
I can't
Give me
think
an
of one.
example.
Okay, got it.
If you do, just text me. Okay, if you do, just text me. I don't think you will be able to. Like, however is
Yeah,
always
I
used.
just
Like,
realized that. Yeah, okay.
however in Hindi means halaki. Halaki can never be used as an addition. It can only be used to contrast between two things. Now, also is comparison. But,
Contrast.
on which we had a long discussion. Contrast. Most significant.
Emphasis.
Emphasis. Emphasis. Now, most important, most significant, especially valuable. Emphasis. Addition. Moreover, also in addition. Comparison. Alike, just as, similarly. Contrast, but differ, however. Illustration. For example, for instance, such as. Very well done. I think you have understood everything. Now, find whatever you can here. Okay, all the things that we have discussed, try to find. Let me just read it first. While positive resolution of the crisis at one stage better prepares people for a positive resolution at the next, Erikson doesn't believe that it is always ideal. For instance, while learning to trust people is desirable, we cannot trust all people under all circumstances. However, when physical development is healthy, the positive resolution predominates at each stage. In addition, when positive resolution doesn't occur at a particular stage, individuals often revisit earlier stages to rework these crises. Now, sentence by sentence. First sentence. Do you find any signal words? Signal words, any signal words in the first sentence?
So always,
Hello?
always,
Okay. Always. What about while? While is not a signal word.
While can be cause effect.
contrasting,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I will have to share again now. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So you said always, John. Anyone else? Any other or the same
So
signal word in the first sentence? While. And what kind of signal word is it while?
contrast.
the contrasting,
Contrast. Okay. Correct. Now, this sentence.
For instance,
while,
For instance,
it's illustration.
while. Correct. Yes. Now this sentence.
However,
However, which is
contrast.
contrast. Yeah. Now in this sentence.
in addition,
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah. What about in this sentence? However is correct. And in this
You have to
sentence,
share your screen.
I am sharing screen. Can you see my screen now?
No, sir.
You can't. I am sharing. Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. Perfect. So what about this sentence?
So in addition,
In addition.
yeah.
In addition, yes. Addition words. While, for instance, while, in addition, when also, yeah, when was also, yeah. When. Now, most recent research suggests that African American children who grow up in a warm and supportive environment, both at home and school, actually possess higher level of self-esteem than their Caucasian American counterparts. However, some communities experience hardships relating to poverty, crime, and drug use. In addition, schools unrestricted to the needs of minority children can retard the development of self-concept and self-esteem. These findings suggest that unique challenges can exist for students who are members of ethnic minorities. Now, what about this sentence? Any signal words, guys? Oh my god, this is so annoying. Last 4 5 minutes. Let's just get this over with. Can you see the screen?
No, sir.
My internet never appears to work after an hour has passed. So, yeah, so in this sentence, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
So where's the signal words?
So both at home and school.
Both,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, guys, this is such a BT. So let's just end here tonight. And